my first. Yep, here's my project. It is quite literally the. What?
It's funny. Oh my god! Wait, it's not funny anymore. And now it's.
Windows is protecting my PC. Oh.
Just...
Wait.
Oh god.
Oh my god, that's nice.
Yeah, I really hit a point.
I suffer always. This is beautiful.
Thank you. So there are a number of ways.
Yeah, what'd you do to get the effect at the end with them splitting and stuff?
So basically, I ran this through a if statement, and basically a certain number increases over time up until a certain point. So size increases up to 50 times on the first sprite, on the first draw code. Mm-hmm. And it increases all the way up to 50. Once it gets to 50, it switches over to the more detailed sprite that I edited to make red, and also added. Well, I added it to make have black and have an animation. It's like all glitchy. So the glitches.
So you actually animated that. Okay.
Yeah. The second thing is that here I'm gonna post my code. So this is so this right here is my create event. Very simple. I just have a bunch of setting code.
Okay.
And then this. This is my code, like the draw code.
What the hell?
I see. What controls size 1? Oh, I see it. Plus equals. Okay. Nice.
And so take a notice to the way I did. If you're curious how I did the shaking suffer I suffer always statement, it's basically I have notice the position statement on X for draw text transform color is 100 plus 10 times sine of sine wave. So sine wave is an ever increasing number after, of course, the jump scare. That increases by 3 at all times. And because it's a sine wave, it'll only ever move left and right 1. But since I'm timing it by 10, it moves 10 pixels to left and right constantly for every frame. That's why it shakes.
Wow.
This is all I got. Sorry. It's a very underwhelming comparison. But I tried.
It looks really retro.
Yeah. Very basic because I don't know anything, but also I just got it working just this morning.
Yeah.
I don't even know what happened. They were just
Do you mind posting the draw lines that did all the top ones?
You want to see all that?
Yeah, because I want to try to help you get it into a...
Alright. Here you go. I just put everything.
What's up, Schooler Bob? Popping out the chat.
Sorry, that's not just a stream.
Yeah.
That's just a random rock I do.
That's a lot of draw lines.
Yeah, I don't know how to...
Y'all try to work together and reduce that draw line into a for loop.
So I noticed that the let's see. So the only thing that's changing throughout this is basically the X position. I imagine that's the X position, right? Mm-hmm. Like this first part, the 100, 150, 200, 250.
Yeah, X1, yeah. Y1, X2, Y2.
So here, I'm gonna do a copy paste, and you can see what's the change would be. At least that's how I do it. So change this into let's see, 4. So for var I is equal to, I always do var I don't know why. Var I is equal to 1, semicolon, I, wait, what's the, I, oh yeah, this is the statement. Well actually not 1, I'll have it at the starting point 100. I is less than and equal to 1,000. Semicolon.
There's the for loops, by the way.
Yeah. And then semicolon, this is the last part. I is plus equals 50. And then you have draw a line. I 124 431 23. All right, that's how I would reduce that huge area to one line of code into 3 lines.
I see how you did it. You want
Does
to
that make
like
sense?
explain it?
So basically, as we stated before with the for loops, it runs the same code over and over again until the criterion at the end meets. But instead of the same thing as a while loop, it basically allows you to change a variable with it. So basically, it simplifies a while loop. So in this first case, you set a variable. In this case, you don't have to set a variable. You can set like a freaking object variable for all you care, but it's a variable nonetheless. I set it to 100 because that's your the first thing that's on your list. Then the next part, which is separated by semicolon, is the end criteria. So basically, it runs through the code every time until it is more than 1,000. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then it does 50 every time.
Yes.
And then, okay,
And-
what's the for the second line? What's the I in the?
So notice how I set up the variable I. Now I can use that within the same script. So it replaces the
see.
exposition code.
I see. Okay. So okay, just like what if you were to like do the second variable as well?
So basically, you could set it up at this. So this is where you would do
You
basically.
can test it out. Just copy the code.
So you could basically do the same thing. So there are 2 ways. If you want the same exact variable, so like you have both x and y increasing by the same amount, you could theoretically just have draw line I 431 23. If you wanted to increase by the same amount, by like if you want them to both be the same, and sometimes you would. But the alternative to that would be to have a double for loop, a for loop within a for loop.
Oh.
That would be a lot of line drawing.
Yes, it would.
That would make
But-
more of like a rectangle of
Couldn't
lines.
Couldn't you also do like a different for loop not within it, or no?
Well,
Yeah,
by
you could.
default, well, yeah, you could in the for loop increase another variable, so you don't necessarily have to make another for loop. You could just have like, let's say every time the for loop runs, you also increase. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to post that. I was not busy. I was not finished with it. So you could have, actually no, that is wrong. So I could have, let's say y. So I set up a variable y before the code to equal, let's say, a number. So let's say we'll have y equal to, if you want y to equal to something, let's just have, no, not y. I forgot y is a reserved variable. P, it will be p. So you can set up p to be like 1 or 0. We'll have it 0. And every time the for loop runs, you could have p increase by a certain number, let's say by 20. Forgot the freaking code.
Yeah, that's one way to do it too. I do recommend trying to tabulate like this. Every time you go inside brackets,
I can't tab.
you can
How
tab.
do you tab?
Wait,
Well, no,
why do you equal it to 0?
Whenever you put the sorry.
So you make p equal to 0 at first because p has not been defined ever. So you have to define it first. Otherwise, the code says not set before reading. So if the variable
Yeah.
p does not exist, I should probably.
Because like
mention that
if you
this-
plus equals 20, what are you plus equaling? There's nothing. It's no value.
Actually, let me make this a.
It doesn't
a
just
var.
assume that it starts at 0.
Yeah. Let me make that a var, just so it's not an object variable. You could make it again an object variable. It doesn't really matter, but preferably a script variable.
But
But yeah,
can you say var p equals 124?
Yes, you
Yeah.
could.
Ah, right. Okay, I see now. Okay.
LG, whenever you put the 3 little apostrophe things around, you can do the same coding tab stuff.
Well, I
Oh.
tried it. It didn't work.
Yeah. Boop, just tab. I go back and edit that message and just tab in those spots. You can't do like the whole highlighting thing and then tabbing. You just have to like individual tab. Shift tab doesn't work either, sadly. It's just the regular tabbing. Well, I mean that's sort of right.
Oh, oops. I really wasn't paying attention.
It doesn't really affect anything, but it's just nicer to look at.
Yeah.
I wonder what
Do I
the
have to set up the triple what is that symbol called? Like the thing that we're using to make the whole tab thing.
I don't know. They're like weird apostrophes.
It's basically I don't know. I'll just call it Teedle since that's the exact same key as well. Or I'll call it Teedle.
But yeah, okay, I understand it more now after seeing this.
Okay.
Alright, let's get into some code teaching.
Ooh,
Okay,
you're
I'm gonna-
into more things.
I'm going to execute.
I don't want to show you guys too much more, just enough to get you started with like some
Yeah,
projects
my
or
brain is
whatever.
Very limited.
Yeah, I mean, when you're new to programming, like I don't want to like rush things.
Oh, you're fine. I like it. I like it slow. I like this pace.
Yeah,
This pace
we're
is
just going chill.
me doing 18 hours and dying.
Yeah, I want to try. I don't know if this is too much, but I want to see if we can do keyboard input and maybe collisions.
What is that?
So keyboard input is, well,
Oh, is
obviously
that
if
when,
you
like-
press a key,
Yeah, yeah.
it'll pass
okay.
through an if statement basically, or whatever you want it to pass through.
Okay.
And then a collision is when one sprite collides with another sprite, then something can happen. You guys can see my screen, right? We're all good?
Yeah.
I'm going to switch it over to Gamemaker. Boop.
So, just another question. So,
Go
the
for
only, the only hello, Tiffany. The only programmers right now that are active are you and Kat.
I would say so, yes.
Oof, a lot of work for 2 people.
Get this. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Project. Where's my? Like, there's a stream sidebar folder that's not zipped. I know it's somewhere. Somewhere over here.
Also, Aaron, do you know how to use voice meter?
I do. I do.
Like, if you were,
Not decently, but.
I mean, like, do you know how to like make the setting where like, it would only record. Okay, say like you're streaming and you're playing, or you're recording you playing Overwatch.
Okay.
And you want to listen to music, but you don't want it to capture the music you're listening to, but you want it to capture it.
I was trying something like that earlier, and it wasn't really much I could do. Because it's either. Because theoretically, there's only one input and one output. And so those are what you're going to be capturing. Wait, can you. Okay, like music.
I know there's some people that know to do it, but
Output audio.
no idea.
I mean, I guess there'd be a way. There probably is a way with voice meter now that I'm thinking about it. I haven't touched it much.
Okay. Just wanted to know if you knew.
I did not. I do not.
All good. All good.
Alright. I'm gonna pop up this little thing as well. A little game for Twitch people to play. That's not where that's supposed to go on the stream.
So what are we learning? Something about mouse.
Keyboard input and collisions. Basic collisions,
Okay.
not just like not too bad of things. There's a lot of advanced stuff you can do with collisions, but we're just gonna go basic collisions for now. Where is my Gamemaker? There it is. Alright, so I'm probably just gonna get rid of what I had last time. Just start fresh. Alright, so we have a player. I'm just gonna make him like a square for now. Just get rid of all this. Because we're gonna do collisions first. So let's make a really easy to tell little creature here. Just gonna make him. Where's the fill tool? Which one of these things is a fill tool? I do not know.
Is there there's a bucket icon next to the
Oh, there it is. Yeah, just big old blue square. All right. So this one's 40 by 32. Let's resize. Resize. Okay. That's not how I wanted that to go. Alright. We got us a 32 by 32 square. I'm going to go ahead and just copy him. And we're going to make another one, I guess, just for now. Just in case we need it. Make this one yellow. I don't know. You could do whatever you want. I don't really know the purpose yet, but this is just going to be object thing. I don't know. We don't know what it is yet. Haven't decided. We'll get rid of the earth guy. Okay. So we've got a player, and so here's the thing. When you're making sprites, they actually have a sprite and a mask associated with them. And you can tell this from here, the collision mask section. You see how the whole thing is like black now?
Okay, you're having cutouts.
I am.
Yeah.
Is it voice meter? Is it... did it help last time when I lowered the quality of the stream?
I don't know.
Like this, and I went here. I'm gonna do it. You know what, guys don't need high frame rate. I'm gonna do it 720 at 15 frames, or maybe 1080. Yeah, 1080. Hopefully that's better.
No.
No?
You keep speaking. I need to. Nope. That's pretty bad.
Dang. What about now? Is it?
You cut out when you
Is
said
it
is
good
it.
now? Yeah, I just stopped talking. I was doing something. Is it good now? It's just
Talk
okay.
talk continuously. So far, I'm hearing
Alright,
no
so
problems.
720 people try. Alright, just inform me if it gets all weird again. Alright, did you guys hear what I said about masks?
No.
Alright, so each sprite, whenever you have it, you know, the asset here, there's two things. It's both like an actual image, but there's also a collision mask associated with it. So you can see how the box just got darker. That's trying to tell you where the mask is. So if I, let's say, actually let me edit this so you can have a little demonstration. Let's get rid of some of this just to see. Just so you can see. Right, so now you can kind of see the mask changed. Right now it's set to type rectangle, but we could do like eclipse or diamond. And it's just going to try to fit it onto your sprite. But this is what things collide with. Gosh dang it. Completely fine on the stream, so it's just a Discord thing apparently. Squibub says I'm fine on stream. It's weird. Here, just end the call real quick. Come on, Louis.
Alright.
Hopefully that'll be better now. I'm gonna mess with my voice settings a little so you can't really hear me whenever there's like I'm not talking. That should help transmit. Hello. Okay, right about there.
Doing fine.
Alright. That probably will help. 30 frames, 720, or we'll do, I don't know, 15 frames at 1080. Hopefully we'll try that. Alright. Alright. So masks. So whatever shape you draw, it's going to try to fit it to that. You saw with the rectangle, like it's going over this spot. So even though something might try to collide here, it'll still hit, even though it's not touching. As long as it hits this mask that's associated with the sprite, that means a collision happened. You could set it to precise, but that means the collision's going to be slower. Like it's going to take more resources to check each time.
Does it? Okay, so for our particular purposes, at least with it relates to residential property Amaranth, is that really a factor?
We
or is
use, yeah, it is, because we have a lot of collisions. Like for instance, all the walls. Every time you make every frame, the player checks if there's a collision with a wall, and so that means it has to check every single wall, and so it's really fast if they're all on rectangle. So that way it's just like, okay, really, like rectangle's like one of the fastest types of collision checking.
Question, at least it relates to, okay, so for let's say a diamond, I notice it says it's slow, despite the fact that that doesn't really make. So like, why is diamonds slow as opposed to a square or a rectangle?
I think it's mostly just the way computers in general work. Like it's an X and a Y plane. So the diamond, if you notice, is going diagonal to the X and Y plane. And so it's a lot more precise of a collision than a normal rectangle would be.
So what the heck is this rectangle with rotation?
It means if your sprite rotates, the collision box will rotate with it. Like if this sprite did rotate right now with just rectangle, the rectangle would not, like the collision rectangle would not rotate.
Oh.
So basically the amount of distinguishable individual pixels is what determines frame rate. It determines how slow or fast this the particular thing is. That's why rectangle is the easiest to render, because it's basically a straight edge.
Yeah, like if I wanted to test right here, okay, is it between this Y or this X and that X, that Y and that Y? Easy calculation. Whereas,
as opposed to a diamond, which is edge. It's like basically like corner over and over again.
Yeah, like with precise. Okay, does this pixel match somewhere in this pixel range? You know, like it's like actually checking each pixel instead of just checking like a region. And I'm guessing diamond in some way has a region check, but it's just like a lot more complicated because it's going diagonal. It's weird how it doesn't hit this edge. It's like not perfect. Well, anyways, there's your collisions. There's your masks anyways, but we'll get to actual collision checking here in a second.
Say again.
Is it really bad again?
Well, I heard a bit of it. Enough to me to notice.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so whenever you create your object, the mask is automatically set. You see the collision mask here? It's the same as sprite. So whatever sprite you chose here, it's going to be the mask, unless you want to change it. Alright. So I'm going to create another object. Let's just do object wall, just to be simple. We'll make this the yellow boy.
What's the situation where you wouldn't want the collision mask to be the same as the sprite?
Like in our game, you were not going to really notice much if I hit like the corner of the player versus the actual player. The difference between them is not very high. Here, let me pop them in real quick. This time, okay.
But for something like really big, you probably would want a little bit more precise. Or at least you want to incorporate more squares, if anything, than you would. Because something big is obviously noticeable if you decide to hit a corner.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting the neutral way back in here.
with the player though, which basically the advantage of the player being that he takes up almost the entire thing.
Yeah. So like when you're in gameplay running at 60 frames per second, you're not really gonna notice if like a bullet comes through here and like barely ticks your edge. Like no one's really gonna notice that too much. But I mean, see, the precise really doesn't cut off too much. It's just these little tiny corners. It's just gonna be way more efficient just to be a rectangle. That's why they call them collision boxes and not like like in other games. You know what I'm talking about? Like in first player games, you got like, those collision boxes. They're not like collision player models.
Yeah, I noticed you had a whole sprite list of like collision masks.
Yeah, I like
what was up with that?
It's not really needed, but because you could just do one for each individual. But I like to have sprites that are just only there for collisions. And that way it's just really easy. Like, oh, this sprite's using the 32 by 32 with the center being on bottom right or whatever collision box.
Essentially, it's just easy to.
Yeah. It's just easier. Yeah. Because you could say, okay, I'm using the collision box of sprite 56 or object player, and you're like, well, I don't really know what the collision box looks like without having to go into the actual object or the sprite and checking out what its collision mask is.
Essentially, it's standardizing the.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So like now all players use 32 by 32 bottom, and then the actual collision box just gets resized depending on the player size.
Okay.
But yeah, all right. So we have a little player. Let's.
Yeesh, that was bad. Say again.
Okay. We got this little player here. Is there really nothing I can do to up the quality on Discord? Testing.
Don't see how that would affect anything right there.
Yeah. Output volume.
Hello.
Hello.
I mean, at this point, I just recommend getting a better mic.
Well, that's not the mic in this case. It says it's fine on stream.
Well,
It's Discord. It's going through Discord bad.
Why is it only you? This has happened at your house as well.
No, but they're saying it's fine on the stream, like the quality.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, if it was Discord only, why isn't it happening to us? And more specifically, why did it happen at your house as well?
The fact that I'm streaming audio and video to both, to Twitch and to here. I'm guessing there's some kind of weird packet loss going on. Andrew,
Well, if it's a packet loss, wouldn't you sound robotic versus?
I don't know what I sound like.
You sound like like that. It cuts off.
You just cut off.
Yeah.
Weird.
Like it almost sounds like as if your sensitivity shit, even though I know that's not the case.
Yeah.
Could be a mic issue.
I honestly think has something to do with the microphone because
That's weird.
If it really was internet the case, then why weren't you doing that all the time at your house? Which you did do it sometimes at your parents' house.
Before when I cut
Yeah,
off,
but like when I'm playing Overwatch, does it do that?
No.
I don't know.
And that just seems awfully weird.
It honestly didn't even do that.
Andrew says it's fine here. Maybe Discord is compressing it. I don't know. Weird. Alright, well, let's see if we can just go through it. Just toughen it up. Here, I keep doing this, but I'm going to try to stream it to y'all at a lower quality. Alright, so you guys can still read this. Oh yeah, dude, we're doing just some basic Gamemaker stuff. Right now we're doing wall collision, or just regular collisions, and then keyboard input. Alright, so we have a wall, and we have a player. What's this one? We're get rid of this. I think that's all we have, yeah. So Mr. Wall here, he's fine. He's got his own collision box of a 32 by 32. Mr. Player, he's got his own 32 by 32 collision. Let's just test. Let's do a test if collision here. So the first one I want to show you, it's Lily and LG. They're both on the call. The first collision I want to show you is place meeting. Place meeting basically moves your character over to a certain position and then tests if you're colliding with the other object. So, for instance, it's looking for XY object. Let's just say XY, and then we're looking for object wall. So theoretically, it's not going to move. It's just going to check the exact same place it currently is, and it's going to see if there's an object wall there. And we'll just do show message. There's a wall in me. Alright.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so we can test this out. We can put Mr. Wall in the map. I'm going to use ghost control. I'm just going to plop him there for now, and that shouldn't do anything. We'll just get a blank room. Yeah, so nothing happens. But if I pull this boy and put him inside the other object, boom, there's a wall in me. He's not very happy about it. Was this the create event? Because that only happened once. Oh, it was the create event. I meant to put that in the step, but that's okay. But anyways, there's a simple collision for you. There's a bunch of different types of collisions, though. We're not going to go over them all, but let's see if there are any other ones. Simple collision checking. Alright. Kind of another handy one, I guess, would be if place free. Place free is basically the same thing, I think. It's just going to check every position, it looks like. So we'll check for a collision of any solid flagged. Oh, never mind. We're not going to do that one. We like never use this. I guess it's place empty that I'm thinking about. Hold on. Let me look at it for a second. Okay, we'll check for a collision with any other instance of the collision. Place station mouse. Does it only do solid? I guess place empty is the same thing as place meeting, but it looks for every object. So if there's any collision with anything. Yeah. Again, not one we typically use, because we're typically wanting to look for a specific object. This is the one we'll be using for the rest of the example here. Alright. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this. So we want our little character here to move around. He's kind of just a sad boy. He can't do anything at the moment.
Repeat.
Gosh dang it. I was saying, we're just going to use place meeting for the rest of this example.
Okay.
It's a very, very good tool, and it's one of the most efficient collision checks. Alright, we're going to make this boy move. So I said we were going to use a keyboard input. So let's do that. So I believe it's keyboard check. And you can do check, check pressed, and checked release. So checked, the normal one here, that'll just do it no matter if it's like if you just pressed it or if you're still holding it. So basically it's the hold button. Pressed will only happen the instant that you push it, and only once. And release, again, only once, but when you let go. So if we're wanting to hold like left or right, I'm just going to do the hold check here. Now we need some way to get the key, and so what we use is ORD. ORD, this function here, basically takes a string, for instance W, and transfers that to like computer language, UTF-8, whatever that means, Unicode. So it makes it to where you don't have to figure out what the Unicode symbol of, for instance, D is.
Oh, okay.
It's just really nice. So anyways, if we're wanting him to go right, what variable would I be increasing? Do you guys know?
Say again.
If I want my little player guy to go right, what?
Say again.
if I wanted to go right, what would I press?
Want to go right? Press D.
I mean, like, what variable would I increase to make it move?
Repeat.
Maybe try the stream.
That's how bad it is.
Try the stream.
Say again.
Here. Where is it? Here, go here.
What?
Go to the stream.
Oh, great.
I want to see if that works better for y'all. So if I'm wanting him to go right, how would I, like, what variable would I change to make him move? Is my voice better now? Can you hear me?
I mean, I have to listen to two different voices.
You can mute the stream.
Wait, why would me going to the stream?
I just wanted to see if, like, if I stopped streaming on Discord, if that would help my voice. Did it?
I'm so confused. What the hell wanted me to do?
I just wanted you to view the stream from Twitch instead of from Discord, just to see if that helped my voice.
Well, it's gonna be super delayed.
Just okay. I can do it to where y'all. Do you want me to, like, mute myself in Discord, or?
Well, even if you did, it doesn't really matter. It's gonna be super delayed by the time we ask a question, and you're gonna answer it immediately, and we're gonna be sitting here waiting for the answer on Twitch.
I just don't know what else to do.
Wait, what?
I don't know. We're trying to figure out a way so that I can talk and also stream to you.
I mean,
But you
cut
guys
out
don't seem to be
sometimes.
complaining about my voice right now, so I'm assuming that it's the Discord video that's messing it up.
maybe. I mean, I don't know. You cut out sometimes earlier. You're not right now. You're fine. Right now, you're fine.
Yeah.
I just connected, and then, I mean, I watched your videos again later, so it doesn't bother me really.
Whatever. I'll watch the stream. I'll try to, like, view the way you write the code, and I'll just use it as a reference more than I will.
Yeah, I mean, it's only like a
real time.
7-second delay. Alright, I'm gonna mute myself
Pretty
here. We're gonna see if this works out better.
Well, wait, hold on a second. You said you already got rid of the video feed, didn't you?
Yeah, from Discord.
Well, I haven't heard any problems as of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Discord video thing seems to be messing me up.
Then let's keep it that way. You don't have to mute your voice. I can just look at your stream without your
Okay.
mic on, and you can just keep talking as long as it doesn't cut out in Discord.
Alright.
Your voice matters much more than
Alright.
looking at your code real time.
So, my question is, I've been trying to get to, is how would I move my character right? Like, I already have it to, like, if you press D, something happens. But what's the something? How do I make it move?
I don't know the code that would be used for it.
What controls where the character is?
X and Y.
Yeah. So what I increase to make it move, right?
Yeah. So X plus plus, or even just X plus equals what number?
Yeah. So, like, I'm gonna put 3. See how fast that is. I don't really know how fast that's gonna be.
Well, every frame you're traveling 3 pixels, which means that in 1 second you'll be tracking a total of. Okay, well, that's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It is kind of slow, depending on.
It's like you're levitating something.
Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and just plop in the rest. It's like S would be Y plus equals, A would be X minus equals, W would be y minus equals 3.
Is
Why?
there a way to simplify these lines of code that look almost identical? Or no?
There would be. The only way I think of you could simplifying it being is doing something like travel speed equals 3, and then using that for all of these. That way you don't have to write, or like if you ever want to modify the speed, you could just update that variable.
That is a good idea.
We do that quite a bit in Amaranth. Just in coding in general, I mean.
Oh, you increased.
Alright.
Oh,
Well.
that's like when my DPI is extremely high in a game.
Yeah.
So, knowing what we have, I mean, obviously, he can't collide with this wall yet. What's up? Is Lily an Amaranth Dove? Andrew, do you not know our team?
I feel sad. I know who Andrew is.
I'm sorry. Wait. Say again. Andrew. What did Andrew just ask?
He said, "Is Lily a Amaranth Dove?"
Oh.
I mean, that was a little bit ago, but yeah.
You can check just to be sure.
I might be confused because my name on the server is different.
Oh, real clue. Yeah.
From my Discord.
Alright. So, how do you guys think we would be able to stop collisions if we ran into that wall?
Repeat.
Holy moly, that was a really big cutout.
Okay, so it is still bad here. That's dumb.
Granted, it was at a far less frequency that happened a long time after we mentioned it.
Wait,
so,
why is your mic like near your top of your head?
That's not his real mic.
This is not mine, no. The camera here, that's where my mic's coming from. Yeah. It's dumb. I need a new one in general.
I low-key feel it's your webcam mic, but it's just me.
Unable to drag resources into a room. Ensure one layer is selected. What?
Okay, so your room probably doesn't have a layer at all, or something.
What?
You need.
That wasn't the case before.
You should have an so like select this instance layer.
Instance layer.
Yeah, at the
I
top
have no
left.
instance layer.
Alright, so then you're gonna want to do something like create new instance layer. This one here.
Create new asset layer.
Instance layer.
Background layer, instance layer. There you go. Oh, there is an instance. It's just like it doesn't look anything like yours. Oh, that's because your camera is blocking it.
I'm sorry.
Now I can drag it in. So let's say I wanted to. Let's say let's say I have like a different like a how do I say sprites for every direction that you press.
Okay.
How would I show that through the code? So like if
I
imagine I would put that in this. So like I have, let's say 4 sprites. Let's call them sprite 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So one way you could do that is by changing the sprite index each time you press a direction. So for instance, sprite index equals sprite thing, just for example. And actually,
Sprite index.
So when you go right, it's gonna be sprite thing, and when you go left, it's gonna be sprite player. So whenever you press right, it's going to be the orange, and if you press left, it's going to be blue.
SPR, light, up. I'm like basically taking Amaranth like assets and just trying to apply it into here so I can basically like do it on my own eventually.
I see.
So light left. Well, SVR right. Okay, so as another thing, I'm gonna have them, and I'm gonna have each of these animated. Let's say.
Okay.
So how would I animate them while this is happening, or would that go in a different separate event?
I mean, you could set like the image index and image speed. Although if you're gonna do that, I recommend creating a separate keyboard check that's more associated with it. So, for instance, I'm gonna get rid of all these. So, like for instance, this one's only for the image changes, and then you would do it pressed instead. So that way, that code only runs the first time you click it.
Oh, okay.
And then you'd be like image index equals 0, image speed equals whatever. That way it'll reset the animation and then set whatever speed you want it to be.
Okay, let me just go ahead and do that.
Something like that. Because if it's not check pressed, then it's going to be setting it to whatever your image index you set it to every frame, as long as that's held down.
Right. Copy that for every single one. Up. Down. Okay. See, image index is 0. Yeah, I don't appreciate you getting that close to the camera.
Got him.
And does the I noticed that you only or I can just set the image index and image speed for every time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Another thing is that let's say on A, like left and right have separate images, but I don't want to make another sprite for that. I want to just like flip it when it goes left or right.
So there's two other variables, these green ones for what they're called, like object variables, instance variables.
Yeah.
There's two other ones, and they're called image x scale and image y scale. So if you're wanting to flip it, you really could just do -1 for your x. Assuming you centered it, the sprite.
Yeah, it's centered.
Yeah, so then that would just flip it.
I don't have to touch image Y scale, right?
No, unless you're wanting to change it.
Nah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, that's good. And one more thing. Let's say I wanted to have an idle animation just for, well, like for a while not pressing anything at all.
Okay. So something like this, where you have else. Just looking at the top here, if else else. So if you're not pressing anything, then this happens, for instance.
Oh, so make them all else if for the sake of.
The only problem here would be you couldn't set your image index since this would happen every frame. But you could, in some way, make a variable that just stops it to where it only triggers once. Something you could do.
I just put image index at the very beginning before any of the if statements.
I mean, that would make it be set every frame.
So
there's not much that's like simplistic that I can think of at the moment.
So right now I just can't incorporate an idle animation.
I mean, you can set the image index or the sprite index and the image speed. And it will still play, it just wouldn't start on a certain frame that you would want.
Yeah, that's a curious question. What if I just make it to where the player sprite itself is that idle animation?
Well, you're still changing it with sprite index.
Repeat.
Sprite index is this here.
Oh, okay. So So I basically would have to rewire my code to actually fit around the idle animation.
Yeah, in some way. Like I'm
So for
thinking,
now, I
for
won't do
instance,
it.
you could create a Boolean variable, Boolean meaning true or false, that whenever it gets into here, it triggers to false and then runs your code just once. But then if it gets into one of these other ones, it sets it to true. Let's do that real quick. Let's do this. Let's do something like idle trigger equals false. And then you could do here if not idle trigger. So that means if it's false, then run this code. You can say like idle trigger equals true. And then you can set your whatever down in here, just for example.
Do I replace all if statements with else ifs? Or no,
Yeah.
just the first part?
Well, for this one, yeah, up here on the top. And then for here, you could set all your idle triggers to be false, so that when you press a key, it resets this.
Why, oh, if not idle. Wait, what? What's
Yeah.
the statement with the exclamation point?
So basically, if the idle trigger has not been triggered yet, so not idle trigger, which
Okay.
means idle trigger has to be false in order for this to work.
SPR light idle. Index. And you set image y x scale for some reason to -1.
Yeah, I was just copying code. Like, here's where you would set.
Okay. So I don't have to set it that in the other if statements because it's not a keyboard because it doesn't really matter.
Just kind of talking about in here.
Like
In the,
like
bottom
below,
section.
like
yeah, no.
yeah, the bottom section.
You already put it on the, like the above ones are checking every frame, so there's not really much point in doing it on the first frame also, for when you press it.
Okay. Whoops! I somehow reversed it because I'm a fucking idiot. Because I forgot. I forgot that x and y was y goes down if you have plus. So
Yeah.
forgot that. Another thing I noticed that while I was testing it. Oh. What the hell? Why does the image speed become super slow? 0.3, 0.3. It's 0.3 everywhere. Why does it get super slow when it decides to? Okay, so basically, when I did image speed, it's 0.3 by the way. Image speed, image. Oh, speed. Oh, I'm an idiot. And 0.3 is evidently super slow, at least in this context. I don't know why.
He's coming in. Boom! He's disguised as him now. You will notice though that else if stuff really messes with the way the player moves and stuff. Like you really can't go diagonal anymore.
Okay, I'm experiencing some strangeness with the code. So let's see. So here's the first things. Well, first of all, I imagine the reason why this is happening is because I can't when I'm going left, it just plays the first frame of the animation constantly until I stand still, in which case it'll begin playing the rest of the animation of it moving left. Problem is though that that's supposed to be playing idle when it stops.
Can you like
And
paste your
second,
code?
yeah.
Alright. Let's see.
And idle trigger set to false in the creation code, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Let's see. So then what's the problem?
The problem is, okay, there are numerous problems. One is that the animation doesn't only plays when I don't move in the very beginning, but once I start moving at all, it pretty much continuously plays the animation that it was last on.
Alright, so you're gonna need these at the top, this lock trigger to be false whenever you press any key. So that basically resets your lock trigger whenever you press a direction.
Okay. So I set idle trigger false every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing I'm noticing is your keyboard checks on the bottom. They're regular keyboard checks instead of keyboard check pressed.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, so that just means they're happening every frame.
Yeah, that explains some issues with that. Honestly, it's mostly just me just forgetting certain things.
Yeah. The typical program life.
Okay. Now I'm experiencing another problem, which is that left and right do not work the way I expected it to. The image X scale is essentially doing absolutely nothing. That's usually the problem.
Let's see. I just copy. Actually, I can't because. Can you like show me like stream real quick?
Okay.
All right.
We'll just zoom in because I know that you guys can't see it that well. So this is the only change.
Can you pop up sprite light right? I just want to see what it looks like real quick. I'm assuming that's the light character, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And he centered at Middleton today.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's see it.
So here's what happens in code, in the game. It's very small. Notice that
Okay, it's because you never reset the image X scale. Once
okay.
it becomes -1, it's always -1. So you're gonna have to move that to also be in the other skips and make it +1. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's kind of dumb, but I know why that makes sense.
Well, here's an alternative. You could get rid of those and just put image X scale is equal to 1 at the very top of this entire script. Because that would mean, like, by default, it's 1, and it's always 1. And that way you don't have to, like, set it each time.
Yeah, that's true. And that would fix it.
Yeah, should.
Okay. What?
What in the world? Oh, it's because it's only happening once. Alright, I know what's going on here. It's because when you press left, it's only setting it to -1 once. Go ahead and get rid of that and put it in the whole part instead.
Huh?
Go up. Right there in the keyboard check or day. Put it in there. Because that's happening every frame. That reset's happening every frame, so we need to set it to -1 every frame as well.
Okay. Now, don't mind the fact that idle is just like this. I mean, obviously, I can't have it face the direction it was last facing.
That looks pretty good, though.
By the way, credits to Beowulf for making these two images right here, the up and down.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Alright.
Beowulf. You made my life easier.
Alright, so my next big question here is, how am I going to get this guy to collide with walls? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this trigger stuff. Just get it back to the basics.
You could use my sprites.
I could, yeah. You have to send the project over to me. But that's okay. We'll just keep it the way it is here. We don't have this anymore.
Is there any code in the object wall? Because I think I may have
There
missed
is
that.
not, no.
Okay.
It's not like the wall is doing anything. It's just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah. Alright, so how would we check if there's a wall?
Holy God. Okay. How
Guessing I
far? That was a pretty bad one. Repeat. Again, it's a lot better than it was before because it's not like as frequent. It just happens every now and then.
Alright. So do you remember what the code was for wall checking?
Okay, well, it just had to prove me wrong, didn't it? Or repeat that statement again.
Do you remember what the code was for checking for walls or other objects?
Place meeting.
Yeah. So how do you think we could go about modifying this to incorporate place meeting into it?
Perhaps in every keyboard check, it also does another check for if place meeting is if it's colliding with an object.
Okay.
And
so
if so, set the speed to 0.
So something like this, where it's like X, Y, or do you mean like inside of it?
That works too.
Yeah.
You could.
So I'm just gonna test that real quick. This is only with D, so right. So if I move to the right, and yeah, it totally stops me. Alright, so we could do that. Let's go ahead and do that for all of them. Just real quick. Alright, so now every time you move, it's gonna check. Oops, well, I spawned inside of it, so I'm not gonna be able to move if I'm inside of the wall. Let's move this boy over here. Alright. Oh, I'm encountering a problem here. As soon as you touch it, though, you get stuck inside of it.
So basically, you have to teleport then to the so that the object in question is not touching the wall.
I'm gonna give you an easier solution here. So what's happening right currently is we're checking the exact same place the player is. I wonder if I can draw this real quick. Yeah, let's do this. Just gonna make a little drawing.
Ugh.
You're gonna see my beautiful art skills.
I'm ready.
You ready? Alright. Mr. Blue player here. Where's my blue? Oh. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Create another layer. I'm gonna get Mr. Yellow Wall. That's really hard to see. Okay. How about that? Yeah, that's fine. Alright. So let's just say, oops. This is a frame right here. We're moving to the right towards this wall here. So in this frame, we're holding right, and it's going to check exactly where this wall is, or this the player is. The player is not colliding with the wall, so it's going to move it over 3 pixels. And it's going to do that again. It's not colliding with the wall, not colliding with the wall, not colliding with the wall. Now it's colliding with the wall. But here's the thing. Once we're here, we're already stuck. There's no way out of this because now no matter which direction I press, we're already colliding with the wall. So we need something that's like, while we're here, check if the place I'm about to be has a wall collision. And then if so, don't do it.
Okay.
So one way to do that would be really simple here, is just to increase the X position here, for instance, by travel speed. So that means it's going to take its current position and move it over whatever my speed is and check that position. Will that position collide with a wall? And if so, then cancel the movement. Don't move there. So we can do that simply to every single one. So like the y one would be y plus, left would be x minus, and up would be y minus. And that way it checks before it actually gets into the wall. And this is exactly pretty much what Amaranth uses. There's a little bit more refinement in there to make it to where you actually, because if you notice right now, it's not attached completely. You'll see there's like 2 pixel gap here. It's big, or maybe 3 pixels, I can't really tell. But it's just saying that, hey, I can't move up any more than this because 5 pixels up there's a collision with this wall. So there's still some...
Can I see the code again?
Yeah.
Sure.
So there's still some optimization we can do to make this better. But for now, this does what we want. It gets the wall collision in. It doesn't get us stuck. We're all good.
Okay, just making sure. That's about right. Well, you dingus LG, you gotta place the wall inside the game, obviously.
Did you not place the wall yet?
No.
So no matter what travel speed I put this to, this should work.
That was kind of weird. It just kind of went in anyway. It got stuck. Left and right seem to do fine, but then all of a sudden the top gets immediately. I go in from the bottom, and it seems to get stuck.
Huh.
So it seems to almost like, wait.
Is your up and down kind of inverse? Like you're minusing it going down for some reason?
It occurs to me that because I'm using different sprites, I may be changing the hitboxes constantly.
Maybe
So
that's true. One thing you could do to fix that is to modify your mask index. So like in the create event, you could be like mask index equals whatever, and that way it never changes.
In the create event?
Or just actually in the object right here, where it says collision mask on the left, same as sprite.
Yeah.
You could set that to a specific object just so it doesn't change.
Okay. Actually, I'm just gonna make it all a full image. That way, because it's all 32 by 32, I might as well make it all full image so that way it's not gonna confuse anything.
Okay.
I just think that's the best way to approach that. Because at least for now, I don't really feel like thinking about what kind of crap that will cause.
All right. So we've got collisions, we've got button presses. There's only one more thing I want to go through real quick, and that's creating an object, and this is going to be needed for your next assignment.
It still does a thing.
Still does a thing? Can I see your code real quick?
Yeah, sure. So here, left and right, just fine. Oh, up and down. Well, there you go.
I see, yeah. But can I see the actual code?
Whoops.
Oh, Jesus, so weird. Ah, I see it already. When you're going up, you're checking y plus instead of y minus.
you had a gigantic lag spike. That actually might be completely different than the
Yeah,
cutoffs that you had
it was
before.
weird because you did too. Like
Oh, okay.
I couldn't see your screen or your voice for like a while.
Okay. Repeat your statement. It probably has something to do with this, doesn't it?
Right, yeah, because you're moving up, so you want to check upwards. Yeah.
Can I see your code for a second?
Yeah.
So I kind of modeled it directly after you. Oh yeah, I guess I wasn't really paying attention to that. I guess. There we go.
Sweet.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right.
And I'm actually going to go back to the. Well, actually, no. I should probably not mess around with the hitboxes. It occurs to me that would probably be a bad idea.
Let's just go over the last thing real quick, and we'll call it a day. I'll get you guys your next assignment thing.
Okay.
Right, Clue? You still here?
Huh?
Is Lily here still, or did she leave?
I don't remember
Infertile
saying
Haley
anything.
says hello. Hey, what's up, Infertile Haley? I don't know, I think Lily might be gone. She'll watch the stream later.
And make sure to message her with the task.
Yeah. Well, I'll be putting it in chat. It's one of the ones I give to the new programmers as well.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, so we're creating objects. So this is the last thing we're gonna do. There's a function that's pretty self-explanatory. It's instance create, and there's two of them here. We're gonna go with layer. If you remember in the room, you were talking about the instance layer.
Okay.
So that's basically what we're gonna be putting it on. We're gonna be putting it on the instance layer. So we could put, just for example, I'm gonna be doing mouse X and mouse Y. These two variables are built-in variables that basically return the X and Y coordinate for the mouse. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like the location of your mouse in the game.
Okay.
Layer. So another object variable is a variable called layer. So basically, the same layer that we're currently the object exists on, we're going to use that to create the new object on. Just makes it easier, so we don't have to create a new layer just for this object. You're playing some Forza 7? I don't even know what that is.
That sounds like a race game, I believe.
Yeah. But anyways, just using layer just helps so we don't have to create a new layer. We're just going to use the same layer we're already using. And let's just put a wall down, just for testing here. Alright, so theoretically this will create a wall at the mouse. Oh, and it's doing it every frame, I'm just realizing now.
So shouldn't it be like a keyboard check?
Yeah, we could do a keyboard check. We could also do a mouse check if we wanted to. I think a mouse check would probably be better, seeing as we're putting it.
I said keyboard checks. I wasn't sure if that was an actual.
Yeah. This is actually one of the reasons why it's harder to do, like gamepad and mouse support for like our game, because there's two different functions. There's keyboard check and then there's mouse check. And then there's like gamepad check or something. Is it gamepad? Yeah, gamepad. So it's I don't really know a way to check for this button, but do it for all three of them. Do it for a keyboard, do it for a mouse and a gamepad, depending on which one's plugged in. Like
yeah.
Well, I mean, for our kind
of
game,
you're
hello, welcome.
You exist.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, I'm not dead, guys. Don't worry. I've been here this whole time.
Oh. Where were you when I said, "Hey, Lily, are you existing?"
Well, my dad called at one.
Oh, that's probably it.
Oh. Okay.
But I've been here. Like,
I got you.
I'm not dead. Don't worry. Anyway, I just think for our game though, you don't really need a mouse anyway.
No, but like gamepad, I want to do gamepads. But look, there's a whole separate function list for gamepads.
Yeah, eventually we should. Our game would really benefit from having a gamepad.
So anyways, the mouse check works very similar to the keyboard check. You've got a mouse check button pressed, and a mouse check button released. So basically the same thing. So how about when you press it, and it's the keys for this are like MB underscore, for instance, left click, mouse button underscore left. And they work. Still can collide with them. You plop one on the player, and then you're totally gonna freeze them up.
Look at them squares. Look at them go.
God, this feels like Pokemon where I can't like change my direction.
Yeah,
like
because we're
diagonally.
using the LSIFs now. You'd have to set up the code a little differently to allow directional
Yeah,
input.
interestingly, I can do like sort of like a what's it called, like a. Oh, that's weird. I can move left and then I press right and it still goes right, and it goes back to left if I let go.
Think
But if I go
about
right,
it, because
I go left.
think about your order of operation. Your left is probably higher up in the code than your right, or your right's probably higher up than your left. So whenever it's going through the if, so it's like if right, do this, if left, do this. But it's like else if left. So the right's taking priority.
Huh.
It's interesting stuff. Alright, well, does this instance create and mouse check stuff? Are y'all chill with that? Y'all got any questions?
Makes perfect sense to me.
I mean, in general, it makes sense, but you know, when you actually have to do it yourself, it's like big question mark. But
Yeah, I get you. You can always also middle click everything. The middle mouse button's your friend. Middle mouse button will take you to the help information related to it. It's like, here's all the, like let's say I didn't know it's MB left, but I did know his mouse check button pressed. Just middle click it, and it tells you, hey, MB left, MB middle, right, none, any. There they are, right there for you. Very helpful stuff. Honestly, the Gamemaker help documents are some of the best help documents I've ever seen.
that's good.
But yeah, that's all I got for you. I'm gonna give you guys the assignment.
Okay.
Feel free to continue the art one if you want, Lily, but I'm gonna put this one out there as well.
Okay.
Let's see. We got learning Gamemaker. Let's see. I know I pinned this somewhere. Top-down shooter. Yeah, this guy. Alright, you guys don't need to do the bullet stuff. Or the camera. We'll just do the normal. Diff. Alright. I haven't read it yet. Oh boy. Not diff. Just read.
Top-down shooter. Oh boy.
Yep.
Spicy red text.
There you go. I got rid of the spicy red.
I suffer always.
Alright, so for this one, you're going to need a player, a wall, and a bullet. So your player needs to be able to move around the screen, so he basically already did this. If it hits a wall, it will stop or slide or whatever you want it to do. As long as it doesn't go through the wall, that's the main goal. And so we basically already did that as well. Player needs to hold a weapon or whatever, something that can fire something, so you artsy people can do what you want with that. But it needs to aim towards the mouse, and let me give you a piece of code that'll help you with that. Do you remember we were talking about image X scale, image Y scale, and all that? And that kind of modifies what the sprite index looks like. There's one more, and that's, I believe, something to do with rotation. I'm already forgetting. Sprite. It's a racing game. He's Infinite Lose on laptop. Okay, cool. I don't remember what it is, but there's something to do with rotation. Let me figure what this is. Image index. Help menu to the rescue. Instance variables. sprite properties, image angle. Easy. Alright, so this will help you a lot. We'll get you your image angle. This is here, little cheat sheet stuff too. So your image angle, and you'll need this code too. Point direction. I'm just give it to you since I haven't taught it yet. Point direction x y mouse x mouse y. So basically, this is going to get you an angle from your character to your mouse, and that it's going to be needed for image angle, and then the direction the bullet goes.
Okay.
So your bullet is going to need a speed and direction. So the speed can be whatever, but your direction is going to be point direction. I'm probably going to have to help you guys with this one because I didn't teach you. I didn't teach you guys speed and direction yet. We'll probably do this one later actually. If you want to attempt it, go ahead. But I didn't teach you guys enough. I don't think
There's a lot
to
of
actually do it.
there's a lot of object code that I need to really think about first.
Yeah. So feel free to like start it, but I don't expect you guys to finish it. We'll go over the necessary stuff next stream.
Frankly speaking, I already did start it. I already wrote down all the code for movement, so
Yeah, you've
I'm
got
gonna
that
keep
part
it at that
down.
for now. Although I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like scrap the code for animation stuff since I'm really gonna have it to where the player's gonna face the direction of the mouse.
Okay. Yeah.
Since it's a top-down shooter, that's pretty much necessary.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's it for our stream for now. I'll let you guys digest that. Get back to your normal lives. Outside of.
That's a meme.
Okay, I'll stare at my screen for the remaining of the night.
It's time for some Ogre Watch.
All right.
I only play that when there's an event, and the summer event is over.
Alright, I'm stopping the stream.
Done the Diva challenge.
See you guys later, whoever might be watching. I'll be posting this on YouTube later. Speaking of which,